Good morning, ladies. I would just like to welcome you all here today for the course in basic waxing. In this session, you will be learning about the health and safety of waxing. When you leave here today, you should understand the importance of health and safety and also what the health and safety procedures are when you are performing waxing. Now, before we get started, I would just like to tell you all, okay, that straight down this hall and to the right is the fire exits. Straight down the hall to the left is the reception area, where you will find some tea and coffee and some water facilities. Beside there is also the toilet facilities. If any of you feel like you need a break or you want to go toilet or get a sip of water, it's no problem at all. Okay. So, just before we get started also, I have left a code of conduct and a consent form on each of your desks. If you could please just read them and sign them. If I could get you to put your full name and address, your next of kin, your doctor's name and address and his number if you have it also. Now, alongside of that, I've left some name tags. So if you could quickly just pop your name on and pop your name tag on your tunic, I'd appreciate that. Great, you all have them on, perfect. Now I have left some excess paper as well, okay, and some pens on your desk in case you want to take your own notes or if you want to put some things into your own words. There will also be a manual, and the manual will be yours to take home, so you can also jot on that as well. We will be following everything in the manual, so you can follow with me as well, okay? So what I'll do now is just go and introduce myself. So I am Stacey. I am in the industry now 8 years. My favourite thing about beauty therapy is meeting new people on a daily basis. I love to communicate with people and I love talking to people. And I also like to make people feel good. And I find in our job we have a lot of opportunities to do this. So if you don't mind, what we will do is we'll quickly go around the classroom. And I will get each of you to say your name, how long you're in the industry yourselves, and also what your favourite thing about beauty therapy is. Now you can stand up or sit down when you're doing this, whatever you feel more comfortable. So Zoe, we'll start with yourself, please. Great. Brilliant. So now that we all feel that we know each other a bit better, we will move on, okay? Just before I start also as well is, can everybody see the projector here behind me? Does it look clear, yeah? And can you hear what I'm saying? Great. Lovely. So we'll move on with going through the layout of the lesson, okay? If you switch to page 3 in your manual, it'll be on there. Yeah, brilliant. So from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock, we will be doing our induction. We're going through our health and safety, our contraindications and our precautions, different types of wax, and how to set up your trolley. Then from 11 to 11:30 we'll be taking a short break. In this break you can have a little snack, or if you need to use toilet facilities, or a cup of tea or coffee. Then from 11:30 to 12:30 I'll be doing a demonstration of the waxing. Now when I'm doing this, if you all want to come up along and gather around and you can see up close how our technique is being used, if you have any questions also you can ask then. And you'll also get to use a little strip each as well, okay? Is everyone comfortable doing that? Yeah, brilliant. So from 12:30 to 1:30 we will cut for lunch for an hour. So you'll have something to eat then. And it may be a good time then just to ring your models if they want to come up, okay? Also just to confirm, has everyone's models come up during the week to get a patch test for the wax? Brilliant, that's great. Thank you. Then from 1:30 to 3:30 you will have the practical waxing. Now during this practical waxing I will be assessing you, okay? Now it will be quite informal, so don't panic. I just want to make sure that when you leave here today that I'm confident that your technique in waxing is good and that you understand the health and safety behind the waxing, okay? Also that will give you a chance then, you can ask some questions to me, or if you want me to show you something again. Now I will be here after class for about another half an hour. So if you don't feel comfortable asking things in front of each other, you can always come to me privately. Okay, so then 3:30 to 4:30, we will finish off with our aftercare. Again, this will be a huge part of health and safety because you want to make sure that your clients are safe when they leave. We will then be doing a questionnaire to fill out, will be another assessment. This will be more of a written assessment, okay? And it's a good way for you to reflect back on the knowledge that you've got throughout the class. And also for me, so I can see what knowledge you've took in, or if there is anything else that might need going over. At the very end, I have left a feedback form at the end of your manuals as well. If I could get you to fill them out, it'd be a great help for myself, really. That's more of an assessment of my teaching. Just to see if there's anything that you feel I could do better or anything that could improve in the class. It'd be great for me to know that as well, so I can better my teaching skills. I appreciate all that. Is everyone clear with this? You okay? Perfect, that's great. So we will start off then with our health and safety information. Does anybody have an idea what might be included in health and safety? Very good answer. Yeah, brilliant. Great. Jesus, you're all very good. So anyway, with our health and safety, the most important thing as well is hygiene when you're waxing your clients. Make sure that all your tools are cleaned, your wax pots are kept clean, more for appearance. So on the couch beds you will need disposable couch roll, and this will need to be disposed after each client, okay? It saves the washing up in the sheets and also saves cross-contamination. You will need a fresh towel for your client, and you might need disposable underwear, so it is good to have some in the room. Has everybody seen disposable underwear before? Because if not, I have one here, okay, and you can have a look at it if you wish. You're all okay? You all know what they are? Brilliant. So this is optional for your clients, so just have it there just in case. Maybe ask your client if she would like it or not. It all depends on what underwear she would have on her. After this as well, you will need to make sure that you're not double dipping your spatulas. Okay, this is extremely important when it comes to health and safety with waxing. Once you have touched the spatula into the wax and make contact with skin, dump the spatula. Do not put it back in, because then you're at risk of cross-contamination. Okay, and that's not good. Make sure when you are testing the waxing yourself, you also don't put that spatula back in. Dump them in the bin. Before you wax any client, you need to make sure they have a 24-hour patch test. When you're patch testing your client, you will put a small bit on her wrist and take it off with the strip wax, okay? A small little strip you will use for this. So once you've removed it, you're going to tell your client she needs to look out for any redness, any irritation, any swelling of the skin. If this does occur, your client will not be able to be waxed. But just make sure that your client has had this done. If she is a client that might have come a year ago and hasn't been since, it would be wise just to patch test her again, just to make sure. So we will need gloves also when you're waxing, okay? A pair of gloves for each client. You need to dispose of them after you use them. You will also, if you have an apron, it can be great just to keep your uniform tidy as well and keep everything nice and clean. You will need to have a pre-wax oil as well, just to clean the surface area. Make sure whatever area you're waxing that you will have it cleaned beforehand as well, and always have some cotton and some tissue handy at your disposal too. So now that we have a good bit into health and safety, does anybody have any questions? And when you do waxing yourselves, do you tend to double dip or not really? No, very good. Yeah, you just can't do that now anymore. Yeah, brilliant. So now that we're happy then with our health and safety, okay? You will have to also test the temperature of the wax. Be very careful with this. You will need to test the temperature for every client you have. I find if I have a client for a long period of time, I'm doing a lot of waxing, halfway through my waxing I would test it again, just to make sure that the wax pot isn't picking up extra heat. Do all of you know how to test the wax? No? Oh good. So what we usually do when you're testing the wax, okay, is you will get a small spatula, you will get a small bit of wax and pop it on your wrist, and you will remove the wax with a small cotton strip. You will know then if the temperature feels too hot, it definitely will be too hot for your client. If you feel it's okay, then you can go along and you can test your client. When doing a leg wax, you will test her in her inner ankle. Make sure to, when you're testing your client, to get feedback from her and ask her, does that feel okay? Don't just do it and put her on, just make sure that the temperature does feel okay for your client. Just to make sure that the temperature of the wax is okay for your client. Now, so we will move on to the waxing contraindications and precautions. If you want to flip to page 4 in your booklets, it'll be on that. Yeah, have you all found it? Brilliant. Now, so you'll start off, okay. So you do have to be aware with your clients that you cannot wax over moles, okay, because the skin can become inflamed. Also, do not wax over sunburn. Does anybody kind of know why you wouldn't wax over some sunburn? Yeah, very good. Brilliant, perfect. Basically, so the skin is already very sensitive when it's burned, and there may already be a lot of heat there. So you don't want to irritate the skin, and also you don't want to put heat on heat, because it can cause a more nastier burn. If your client has contagious skin disease or disorders, do not wax your client also. If there is open wounds, cuts and abrasions on the area, and if there is bruising. Does anybody know, can you wax your client if your client has a bruise in its leg? Yeah, very good. So you can wax your client if there is a bruising on the leg or small scratches. If there is a bruising, just avoid the area, avoid the bruise, go around the bruise. But now a tip for yourselves that I always tend to do, if you do find a bruise on your client's leg, make sure to inform your client that it's there. Now you can do this subtly by maybe saying, Mary, there's a little bruise in your leg, are you okay? And she might say, oh, I didn't know that was there. So it's good just to inform her and just to let her know that you would not be waxing over that area. Because if she doesn't know it's there and she goes home, she may think that you bruised her, and you don't want that to happen. Okay. If there is a cut, you can also go around a cut if it's very small and if it's not bleeding. What I would tend to do is put a bit of Vaseline on the cut using a cotton bud. Now, once you've dipped the cotton bud into the Vaseline and put a bit on the cut, do not dip it back into the Vaseline, because again of cross-contamination, okay? It's very important for health and safety. So you're going to bin that one. If a client is under the influence of drugs or alcohol, do not wax them either. If they're after sunbeds, do not wax them for at least 24 hours before and after, okay? Because again, their skin is a lot more sensitive, it'll be a lot more heat there, and you could easily burn them with the heat on heat. So if a client has varicose veins, you can wax a client with varicose veins, but wax above them. Don't wax the area of the varicose veins, or do not wax underneath them. I would recommend, if your client does have a lot of varicose veins, then don't wax your client. So all you know what varicose veins are and what they look like? Yeah, brilliant. Now, a diabetic. Can you wax a diabetic? Do any of you know? You can wax someone that has diabetes, okay? But you just have to be a little bit extra cautious, because their skin may be a bit thinner, and also because it's thinner, the temperature might feel a little bit warmer for them. So just be extra careful with your temperature not to have it too hot. Brilliant. Now, if a client does have very dry skin as well, a good tip for yourself would be to put a small bit of oil along the leg. Just because clients with very dry skin, you can damage their leg and you can tear their skin very easily. And when it is very dry, it does tend to absorb the wax into the leg a bit more, so the wax can be very hard to get off. So you can still wax somebody with very dry skin, but just do make sure they are prepping the leg properly before you do perform your waxing on them. What else is there? I think we've covered most of them on the list as well, okay? So does anybody have any questions about the waxing contraindications and precautions? Have any came across anybody with any of these that you had to do waxing on? Bruising, yeah, bruising is quite common as well in people. So that one you mainly will come across. That one more along scratches, or sometimes scarring is very common. Yeah. How do you feel about that? You all comfortable with that information? You all understand it? Yeah, brilliant. So what we will do now is I'm going to move on. We'll finish up our class with doing the questionnaire. So if you could all get that out, and I'll give you a while to fill it in. Brilliant. And I would really appreciate it if you could fill the feedback form in for me as well, just so I can feel how the class went. It was a pleasure to be here with you all today, and I hope you learned a lot from my class. Thank you.